Good morning, everybody. This is Jessie over at Grace and Truth Ministries, and today I'm going to show you how to set up a prayer Bible, which is a really cool concept that I found over at the Sisterita Club's web YouTube channel, and she had kind of put together her version of it. I did film a video for everybody that kind of walks you through my version of a prayer Bible, and I can put that link in this video as well. But I had a lot of questions from viewers asking me how I actually set this up, specifically because I do have some color coding that everybody was a little bit excited about, and people liked the insert pages at the front and just had questions as to how to do it. So I wanted to share with you guys my step-by-step process so that you can take any kind of Bible you have in your collection and turn it into a prayer Bible as well. So before I get started on that setup process, I did have one question come up that I just want to address, and that's because if you watched my previous video, you know that I had this as my color code page, and I just didn't like how I organized it, because when I started my prayer Bible, I was just super excited, and I didn't take time to do it in a way that I thought was going to be functional. So I do want to address that for people, because I did change it. So my color categories are kind of on the side like this, and I fixed my prayer themed scripture tabs to be color coded. So if you look at it from the side, you can see it pretty much just lines up now with the different colors. So it's kind of a more easier, more functional way of using it. But we'll get into that as I go through the step by step. So the first thing you're going to need, or at least let me walk you through the materials that you're going to need. You will want a Bible that you can dedicate specifically to being your prayer Bible. For this use, I've made my prayer, sorry, my glue. Good morning, Beethoven. Are you saying hi to the whole world? For this Bible, I had chose to incorporate my war binder just into the Bible itself, because it makes it much easier for me to use, which is very exciting, and I think a lot of people like that. So I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So for that process, and that's actually probably what I'm going to start out with first, I just used regular printer paper and washi tape. And so I picked a Bible that I just had on hand. Like I said in my previous video, I'm trying to be resourceful and just use the resources I have. So you can get creative on what resources you want for your tabs, for your color coding, how you want to lay it out, but this is just how I chose to do it. This is another Bible that I just got at the thrift store with the intention to paint it and kind of put it out in the community for people. It's very similar to the one that I used previously, and so that's why I'm going to kind of share this one with you guys. I would love to give away this Bible at the end of the video. I don't have a purpose to have a second one, and I feel like there's got to be someone out in the community that the Lord needs to bless with this, and so I would love to bless somebody with this. It would be a work in progress, so you would still have your own ability to make it your own, but I would love to maybe send it to somebody with some tabs so that they can go ahead and finish it as they want to. So yeah, that's where I'm at. So a lot of people had the question of, how did you put your pages in? Well, when you open a Bible, you can see that there's these pages that are just introductory pages. They have the title, they have the year that it's being printed, and then they come to the content page. So I stopped at this page because I wanted to be able to see what page numbers the book started on. So I just made use of these intro pages as my war binder pages, for the color code page, for the prayers, the weekly prayers, that kind of thing. I did end up adding pages, and that was another question that people had, was how do you add the pages? So I will show you how to do this. I'm probably gonna like speed up the video because I feel like it would get really boring. Once you see me do one page, you're gonna kind of understand how to do multiple pages, but I do want to get through the process so that I can gift this to somebody who hopefully would love to have it for their prayer Bible. Okay, so to help y'all out, the first thing I did was I just folded the page directly in half. And again, all you perfectionists of the world, you're going to be like, she don't make sense. And that's okay, because I'm sure a perfectionist will find like a better way to do this, but I just do it how it makes sense to me. And if you find a better way, that's great. But I fold it in half, and then I line it up with the edges of the Bible, and then I come over here and I just use my nail to make a line at the seam, and that becomes my marker point for what I have to trim off with the scissors. So then I'm just going to go and cut this edging. It's okay if it's not like exact on the line, because I am going to put washi tape over the boundary or whatever, and then it'll be better in alignment. Okay, so I did that side, and now I'm going to come up to the top and do the top edge. This one was a little taller, I think, than this one. Yeah, it is. So there's not as much to trim, but I'm going to go ahead and trim that as well. So now I have the folded edge right here. The folded edge is what I'm going to put towards the outside of the Bible, but now you can see it it fits the size of the Bible. So then from there, this is what I did. You don't have to do it. And if you think you're going to make a mistake on a page, maybe don't glue it. But I am going to glue it down because I wanted it to be like kind of solid. So then I'm going to come with the glue, and I'm just going to put glue on the page that's in the book, in the Bible. And I'm just going to put a layer of glue. And some people, if you're big into journaling or scrapbooking, you might have really nice glue. I used to be a daycare director, and so I just have a lot of Elmer's glue. So then I'm going to come to the page and just line up my seam. And press it down. And then I'll go and do the same thing to the back. Oh, there goes all my washi tape. Sorry. Okay, so go to the back, do the same thing. How are you, Mr. Beethoven, huh? Are you having a good morning? You heard me talk. Every time I talk to you guys, he's like, who's here? Who came to the house? Nobody, dude. Just the whole world on the internet. Okay, so now you can see it's like on the page, but it's not necessarily seamed very well. So that's where the washi tape comes in. And I want to make it clear when I seam, what is this part called? The binding part of the page, you will have multiple pieces of washi tape, because as an example, this page had washi tape, but then when I do this page, it's going to have it too. So it does get a little thick in the bindings, and you will have kind of layers of washi, but that's okay, because it just, in my opinion, it just helps strengthen it a little bit. And I do have kind of a strategy for you for how to strengthen your pages, and I'll talk to about that a little bit later. Okay, so then from here, I'm just gonna kind of pick what I want my like entry washi tape to be, and because it is the first page, I'm probably gonna pick like the one that I think is the prettiest. This is the color scheme that I chose. You can really choose like anything you want, but I don't have a lot of washi tape at the moment, so I thought this was kind of a cool one. Okay, so then I'm going to take the tape and just do the borders of the page. When you're picking your washi tapes, is you want to pick a tape that's like got a good stick to it, because there are different types of washi tapes. Not all washi tapes are made equal. Okay, so then, can you see what I'm doing here? I'm just gonna fold it over like that. Don't worry if it's not perfect. You're gonna be building all this up anyways. I probably will trim the edge there though. Okay, and I start with the tops and the bottoms because that's the part that's kind of the open seam. So I want to do that first before I get into the edges. Okay, already looking good. And that the inside of the cover is where I put my family pictures. You can truly do whatever you want to the Bibles, pages, however you want to make it yours. So there's a little bit of a spot that's not quite lining up on the tape there. If you want to make it like a nice clean line, then you can just add. If you don't really care, then you don't have to. I don't normally care, but if this is going to go to somebody, I want to try to make it pretty. Okay, so now you have the exterior line. You can still see like the content of the paper underneath. That doesn't bother me. Once you start writing and everything, it'll kind of blend in. But now I'm going to work on this edge here. And when you're doing this part, it's really important that when you lay it down, that when you're pushing it in, you really take time to just get it like nice and tight to the edge, because it is something that you want it to not pop up as you're turning the pages. And I can already tell that this Bible's binding is a little loose, and that's okay. But what it is causing because of that is the tape isn't setting very well. But I do have I have a solution for that, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. Okay, so that's your first page. So for me, I put the table of contents. You can either write table of contents or you can put color code or whatever you want. I wrote mine on the edge. You can write yours on the top, however you want to do it. The reason why I put mine on the edge is because I wanted like the full space for all the categories. But it's really up to you how you choose to do it, but that's basically the first page. So then I just kept going with this process, okay? So now you saw me do one page, I'll do the next one. And if you're like me, maybe you choose to do different colored washies. I liked having my washies like the same, but in the end I changed it up a little bit because I added some more pages and then the washies didn't line up, and now that's okay to me. Like, I don't mind that it's different. So, but I'm going to stick with trying to make them line up, I guess. So I'm going to stick with the same washi and just go through and make a border there. And then I think the next page I'll change it. Okay, so you've got a page folded, so you're going to do the same thing you did before. You're going to line it up to the corner, and once you feel that that edge is good, then you're going to take your nail and just make a line at the seam, and then go ahead and cut it. I'll just show you one more page here, and then I'll move on to showing you how I do the tabs. But I'm not actually going to put the tabs in this book because, again, I want it to be that somebody can just pick this up and use it in their life, and that they can apply it to how it matters to them. So my categories aren't necessarily going to be your categories. Oh, you know what I didn't do though? Shoot. I did not do the top part yet. These pages are so almost close to the 8.5 by 11 that there's not really a lot to trim off, but I'm going to do just a little bit. Okay, here we go. So probably the easiest way to line it up is just to slide it under, and then you can fold it over. It should lay like totally flat when you're gluing it in. All right, so that's that page. Then I'm going to start with the washi tape again. I just try to be consistent, so I'll start with the same edging. You can do it however you want. If you want to work at the seam first, that's totally up to you. Oh, do you see what I did right there? Yeah, you might end up doing that yourself. So I accidentally put the washi tape on the next page, because Bible pages are really thin, so you got to kind of pay attention to that, I guess. Make sure that you're not taping two pages together. Oh, and I got to glue this inside. Shoot. So the nice thing about washi tape is it's forgiving. So when you do something like that, you still have the ability to fix your mistake. What I did was I didn't put glue on the back of the page, just on the front of the page. And the glue, not necessary, but I wanted the pages to be as flat as possible. I didn't want any like bulges in the page when I was putting my prayers down and stuff. Like when I was putting my stickies on, I didn't want there to be like a bulge in this page, so I made sure to glue it down. Okay, so now I'm going to do the edge. Process videos are really like, they're cool. I love that it's able to show you guys how I did this, because I wanted to answer all of your questions, and then I went in and tried to answer them, and I was like, I think I should just do a video. It'll be easier to understand than me trying to express it with my words. Okay, so then I'm just going to go to the seam, and I'm going to put a tape in there. And push it down real good. And then you can either put one in between, which I actually suggest you do before you do your next page, because it just helps. It helps with the seams a little bit. But do make sure that see how this page is not flat. Make sure it's flat before you tape, because you don't want like wrinkles in your stuff. And okay, so now you have your table of content page, and then you have your first page of prayers and all that kind of stuff. And I have 2 more pages that I can do. I'm going to show you how to, I'm going to do one more page, and then I'm going to add a page so that you guys can see what it looks like to add a page, because that was another question people had is, well, how do you insert a page once you start this process? So I'm going to start with a different color of washi, because when I add this page, then you can kind of see how it gets changed up a little bit. And I'm really like a weirdo, and I like when color schemes kind of work well. So I don't know where I want to put this. The black after the pink. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so this is like the color plan. So I use this one, so this pink one is going to be the next one. Okay, I folded the page, so now I'm going to do just like before, line it up to the edge, then use my finger to make the line, and if you're smart, you'll do both seams at once so that you get a ability to just cut it. I like to turn it around because the line is a little more prominent on that side, easier to access with the scissors. Some of you might choose to use like a paper cutter. That's awesome. I'm on vacation right now and I don't have a paper cutter where I am, so I'm just using it by hand. Okay, so next I gotta remember to glue. This Bible is an NIV. The last one I did was a New King James Bible. Again, this is just a Bible that I had. The Sisterita Club uses a really cool Bible in her video. I'll try to see if I can drop it in the link. But my encouragement to you is if you need to be budget conscious, which is what I did, these two Bibles the one that I made for myself and the one I'm making right now are both resourced from a thrift store. And so that can be like helpful to try to, use your money frugally, but also, like I said in the previous video, sometimes it's just nice to be able to have a nice, pretty Bible that you're excited about and that you can use because you're excited about it. So it's really however you want to do it. Okay, so we got it glued, and now I'm going to washi tape it, and then I'm going to show you how to do an inserted page. This is like one of my favorite washies, not necessarily because of the color. I actually have I had a ton of these washies. This is from Illustrated Faith, their channel. They sell washies on their purchase page or whatever, and the washi is like, did you hear that? Listen to this. It is the perfect type of sticky. I don't know where she sources her washi from, but it is I buy, plus actually her patterns are so nice. I mean, let's see, I'm trying to think. Like, this was a washi of hers as well. And then, did I use the brown one in here? No, I didn't, but I have another one that's hers, and I just really, really, really like them. So if you're looking for a washi, I recommend that store. Plus, it's a Christian journaling store, which is kind of cool. Illustrated Faith is the name of that. Okay. So not all washies are created equal. Some of them, the stickiness is just, it's awful. You don't always know until you start using it which one's going to be good and which one's going to be bad. If you haven't noticed, I'm like trimming the edges of the tape. Okay, so then I've got this seam right there here, and this is what I was saying, where sometimes you're going to have a double up of your washi tape, and that's okay. And I actually like how like the diverse colors next to each other. I find it to be kind of cute, but all the symmetrical perfectionists that liked this video in the first place might be like, no, I don't know. That's for you to figure out how you want to do your tape. But I'm just gonna cover up that little bottom. You'll notice that these bottoms are not always gonna look nice. If you are concerned about the seams, like the corners or the corners here, you can always come back around with some packaging tape or something just to reinforce it and strengthen it. Okay, so now we have 2 pages that are like already in, and yet say you have, like as was the case for me, I didn't have enough pages for all the different categories of prayers that I wanted to do. So I added a few pages until I had everything that I wanted. And I'm going to show you how to add a page now. I did not glue my page flat when I added it, but in retrospect I wish I would have, so I'm going to do that in this video. So you start with the same process where you're just going to fold it in half, except this time I'm going to open it up and I'm going to glue the inside because there's no page that's going in the middle. I'm adding this as a page, so I'm going to glue the paper to itself. If you get like a big chunk of glue, just wipe it off so that it doesn't make a big bulge in your paper. Okay, so the page is now like stuck to itself, which will be nice because it'll be better than if it starts bulging or whatever when you turn it. So then just like before, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm gonna line it up and make sure to get the seam edges where they're supposed to be. Okay, now this case is a little bit different because it's not, I'm not going to stick it in first. I'm going to do my outlines first, and then I'll just tape it in at the end. How you choose to, how much inch you give on your edge, that's up to you. I have a tendency to like a thicker edge. I don't necessarily always make it cohesive, but if you want to try to be consistent, you can just try to put it right dab smack in the middle. I like the, what's the word I'm looking for? I like when it's kind of, when it's obvious that it's like handmade. I don't know why, but I just like a little bit of that personality that it gets when you don't aim for like perfection, I guess. God is the only perfect person, perfect being. We're all just doing what we do. Okay, so there you can see that there's like edges. And the other thing too, when you're taping, is you want to make sure that as you tape accurately so that it still lays flat. Because sometimes you can tape your, like your page won't line up perfectly. And if you don't line it up perfect, then your page bulges a little. So, okay, so now I have it set up to tape it in. So this is a little bit more tricky because you want to make sure that you line it up to the edge and not necessarily right into your seam. So my line up here is to the edge of the book, and then I'm going to come back with the tape and fill in. And usually I don't expect myself to be perfect on this. Usually I just take like a piece of tape, like a small one, while I'm still holding it in place, and then I put it there so that way the page doesn't like wiggle as I'm doing the big piece of tape. Now the thing about when you add a page in, there's a couple things. You're going to need to put a next piece of tape over this seam because otherwise this will peel backwards and it won't actually stay like in place. So once you have your first seam down, you're going to come back with another piece of tape and just go over the top of that along the other edge and make a seam. So now that it's nice and secure, that page isn't really going to go anywhere. And then you fold it over and you do the same thing. The second page probably does not need another piece. It's just that first top part that you need to have that little bit of extra. So you see how this tape is getting all kind of like thick? It's easy enough just to take your scissors along the edge and just trim it a little bit. If you have a good scissors, you might do better than I did, but just to make it like a nicer line. Okay, so there you have it. I added a page in. This is an added page. And I've got one more page to do, and then you'll have all your pages covered, and you have all these pages to add your prayer stuff to. And like I said, just add as many as you want, as you think you're going to need. When you have a seam of a Bible that's kind of like breaking the seam, it can be a little bit wonky. Make sure you have enough room for it to move, because it is moving. If you're a book person and you know how to fix the seam, by all means do that. But this tape is going to come up. So what I recommend you do when you have a poor seam is you just take like some packaging tape and you just reinforce it. And if this wasn't gonna like leave, if this was my book, I would go through and do the whole thing, but this is somebody else's book and I want them to be able to just do it how they want. But by reinforcing it there with that packaging tape, that washi tape isn't going to come up as the seam moves. Trust me on this. I was a daycare director, and in the world of childcare, you become a book doctor, and so you have to fix the seams of books all the time, of children's books, because they just love them so much that they fall apart. And one of the best ways to fix a book is packaging tape, for sure. Which leads me to another question that people had, and then I'll dig into, as we go through this next process. So I'm not going to finish this page on video. I think that you kind of understand the process. Maybe I will at the end give you a tour of the pages once it's done. But I am going to walk through now and take you through all of the tools that I used to do my tabs, because that was a question that was asked, and I think it'll be an easier answer just to show you. So for my prayer Bible, I needed to use what I had, and so I had these like these are called rummage sale dots. I think they're called that. They might be something different, but there's more colors in the pack. These are the colors I chose to use. And so I took these dots, and that's how I designed my tabs for how I tab my verses. Now, a lot of people ask me, like, are they laminated? What did you do? So this is where it gets kind of crazy. And some of you might be like, nope, peace out, I'm not doing that. Other people, you might get it. But again, I just use what resources I had. I have a bunch of shipping tape because I have a tendency to use it for other things. So I have a bunch of these. I had these, and so that's what I used, to make these tabs. Now, I'm not going to show you how I did it in this Bible because, again, I want it to be for somebody else to use. But what I will say is when you are sticking your tab on, there's two things. One, you don't want to cover up your words, so you're going to stick it just at the edge of the words, okay? And I think that's important to understand because you want to be able to not wreck that. So I'm going to, let's see, I have one category that I added, which is the armor of God. And so I haven't tabbed anything related to the armor of God yet. So I'm just going to use that to show you how to make these little tabs for yourself. Okay. So I don't know if I have, I do have the armor of God. So at the top, I labeled armor of God, the very first page where it's laid out in Ephesians, where it actually talks about what the armor of God is. But what I would like to do is actually throughout the Bible, anytime I see scripture that relates to the armor of God, then I want to tab that as well. But in this case, oh shoot, in my example, it's already got one. Well, what other example can I use for you? Let me think here. Do you see what problem I just made for myself? I was going to show you armor of God, but I already have an orange tab, and armor of God is orange. So, I can pick out a favorite scripture. I don't think I have. Do I have Jeremiah's tabbed? I do. Well, let me find a different one. Hold on. I'm going to grab my Bible, find a different favorite scripture, and then I'll tab that one. Okay, Psalm 3. I don't believe I have Psalm 3 tabbed. Okay, so this is the other part that I'm going to show you guys, is like how to set up your verses that you want to use for your prayers. So I'm not going to walk you through like how to pray with the verses, because I did that in the previous video. This is just the step-by-step part. So I'm going to show you how I would go through and mark my favorite verse. And so my category for my favorite verses is gold tabs. And then my color of it is this color right here. So I have my gold post-it thingies, and I have my marker. And so I'm going to go through and highlight it, Psalm 3, 5, and 6, that I really, one of my favorite verses. And so I'm just going to go right here. I lay down and slept. I woke, for the Lord sustained me. I will not be afraid of 10,000 people who have set themselves against me all around. So I do really love that. If you've ever been in a situation where you've been persecuted or you feel judged or that kind of thing, it's a really nice reminder. Okay, so here's my little dot, and I'm going to show you how I do this. Because I'm lining it up categorically, I want to make sure it lines up with where the other dots are. So I will put not, even though the verse is up here, it's not going to go up here. It's going to go here because that's the category. So I'm going to stick the first dot down. It does take 2 dots to do. I want to make sure that it's not going to stick out super far. So I do try to keep it about halfway or a little bit below. And then I just flip the page over and take the other dot, and I line it up like that. So that is how I make the dot for the page that is going to show that this is my favorite verse. Now remember, your categories might have multiple colors, and so the other way to make sure that you know that it's your favorite verse and not, say, a prodigal verse, which is what my other one is I will put the word favorite next to it, so I know that it's actually about being my favorite verse and not the prodigal. So the next question people had is, well, how do you strengthen these tabs so that over time they don't bend and that kind of stuff? Because it is just a sticker, right? Well, that's where the packaging tape comes in. Some people ask, do you laminate them? I did not, but I think that's a great idea. The only issue I could see with laminating is laminate gets pretty thick, and it would probably make it really hard for your pages to lay like flat on top of each other with all these little special tabs. But I just took packaging tape and I basically only pull it out to like the thickness of my finger, because that's about, oh, sorry, I ripped that one. But that's about how thick the stickers themselves are. So I just do just a tiny little bit and I rip it off. And that's, can you see that? That's like, that's the amount I'm going to use. And then, I don't know how to do this without, I'm going to try to go like this. I'm going to take it and just put it behind, like down here a little bit, so that it has a little bit extra durability. And then I'm going to flip it over and put it at the edge. And then it has a little extra there. So it has that durability. And now I'm just going to trim these two little extra parts because I want it to kind of sit flat with the circle. And this is the part where I think everybody's just going to think, wow, that's a lot of weird work. It is a lot of weird work. But the Lord doesn't call us to sit and not be doing work. And sometimes I think frugality is an important lesson. And sometimes that does mean that your work is going to be a little bit more than, say, if you had a nice, easy pre-made tab or whatever. Okay, so that's how I do the tabs. That's how they get laminated, which was another one of the questions that people were asking about the how to assemble it parts. I didn't do it in this new Bible because I want somebody's own ability once they get this Bible to just be able to add their own tabs as they want in their own categories. I do have another thing to show you guys. You can, as I did, use these like Bible tab type things for your categories on the side, and everybody's categories for your war binder section of your prayer Bible can be different. So I just chose like children, marriage, prayer, home, mission, victorious, weekly prayer, and urgent prayers, because that's like what made sense to me. But you might have church, you might have family, you might have prayer requests. You can make these categories whatever you want them to be. But what I suggest you do is when you're picking out what you want them to be, put them in the order that you prefer, and then make sure that you reinforce it because you're going to be flipping frequently. Reinforce it here with some extra packaging tape. This page, just because of the way that I laid it out, I put packaging tape over it so that these post-its won't come up, because those categories aren't going to change. It's like my Monday, my Tuesday, my Wednesday, these are what I pray on those days. And so then I can just stick a new post-it over the top with what the current prayer is. So that's why this page is like shiny and laminated. You don't have to do it that way, and none of my other pages are like that. But you can do this however you want. So yeah, that is how this gets set up. I think the most important part is to pick out, start with your color coding, pick out your categories that you want, how many ever categories you need. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 10 categories. So I don't think there's, if you're going to use this dot system, there's really not much more space other than 10 categories. You can like add to it if you want, or you can subtract and kind of bulk things together, but that's how it is. So thank you very much for coming back and checking out the process video. I know a lot of people had questions as to, you know, how to lay it out. It is just kind of the basics. You know, from here you can choose what you want to do. But I did want to say I am going to give this Bible away, and I am going to include a set of dots in case somebody wants to add the dots to it. And yeah, that being the case, if you know somebody that would love to have one, that's in need, that doesn't have the resources, or if you yourself are in a place where you're just kind of hurting financially and you don't have your own ability to get a prayer Bible for yourself, drop in the comments below that you're interested in receiving one, and I'll kind of touch base with you. I would love for this to be shipped out to somebody who needs it. So thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you guys going on this journey with me. Yeah, good luck with your setup. I hope it goes good. I hope this helps to explain the questions, and I hope I didn't miss anybody's questions, but if I did, please feel free to drop the questions in this video. I'll link the old video. I'll also link the Sisterita Club. And I pray that the Lord blesses your prayer life. If you want to see how it's used, please look at the previous video, because that is where I show you step by step how I use it. Okay, thank you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.